The following is a special presentation of the PDF Sports Network.
Oh, yes. What up? What it do? Live. Let's see what's going on. Let's go. Happy Sunday, everybody. You know, if it's Sunday morning, it is way too early with Pat. Got a bunch of things to do today. We're going to talk EFA and LAL today. I'm still trying to connect the Midwest guys, so don't think I forgot about you. In the meanwhile, let me say good morning to my independent people. New England guys, give me an update on what the ECFL and NEFL champions are doing. What up, Midwest guys? What up, New York? Players Association. LDFL. Here we go. Bleezy's, what's up? Midwest, Big East. Hope everybody's having an awesome time. Pennsylvania folks, if I'm missing any of the leagues out there, please drop me a message and we'll get you connected and talk PA. See the big dogs out there. Semipro coast to coast. Oop, there you go. Want to welcome everybody. Got it. We're going to be relatively quick today. Let me say good morning, check all the comments. My volume's good. We're going to be relatively... Yep. All right, so what do we got going on today? I'm not sure if this is stable. Well, I guess we'll find out one way or another. Boom, okay. Hey, what's up? So I got my my Nationals Hawaiian shirt. Let me make sure I'm in frame for a second. I'm probably not. Hold on. My fancy setup. So, what I have on, again, we have the Minor League Hall of Fame. Induction this year is going to be in Hawaii. So I got my Hawaiian vibes on, all down to my feet. I'll say down by my toes, skip, I see you. Anyway, so let's talk about it, shall we? We have EFA action. We have no LAL action until today. And today is the matchup that we love to see that for some reason nobody's really talking about. So let's go over it, shall we? So EFA yesterday, you had a chance to see New York Bandits move to 6-0. They took on the Empire State Demonites at 4-2. Final score on that was, I think it was like 26-20. Sorry about that. I should have put down the score. Again, not used to actually having games to report. Let me move back out a little bit. Sorry about that. PDF had the game. You had a chance. The game went back and forth. Demonites were up. Dave Ugarte led the game-winning drive, the go-ahead drive. And then the Bandits had a big interception at the end, and that sealed the deal for the Bandits. So the Demonites competed. I mean, really competed. Let me get that score for you real quick. It was 20. Yeah, it was 26-20. Somebody in the comments put down the score. I definitely watched the game on PDF. Big shout out to PDF and the same PDF network that broadcast way too early with Patt. So appreciate y'all on that. So what else do we got going on? We definitely want to break down that Bandit Demonite game. But the other EFA game did not play, field issues, as is the case with semipro a lot. Kingston Lions and Connecticut Tar Heels. Both of these teams are winless, so it's definitely a game that they need to play for somebody to get on the board, because that's not looking good on the resume between those two teams. Again, Kingston and Connecticut not able to get that done. Again, 0-5 Kingston Lions, 0-4 Connecticut Tar Heels. The Gravediggers had off this week. They're at 3-2 and head into this week with a very intriguing matchup. So the Bandits Demon Knights game yesterday was it was 20-16. Thank you. Sorry about that. Hey, what up, Dave? Good morning. So 20-16. My apologies. Big shout out to PDF. They were at the game. Very thrilling game. Back and forth game. The surprise, I should say, and I know Sean Smith is going to roll his eyes a bunch of times, was the passing attack of the Demon Knights. They were throwing the ball with a lot of efficiency, especially to the middle of the field. That's where they were making their money and getting the scoring drives together. So you rarely see that. You definitely did see the Demon Knight running attack as we usually see it, with a lot of disciplined assignment football up front, which was very impressive. So again, the back and forth between the Demon Knights and the Bandits was definitely a game that you want to see. So check out PDF Network and check the replay out on that, because that was an absolute awesome game. Again, the final was 20-16. Let me put it up here. 20-16, and that moves the Bandits to 6-0 in league play. 6-1 overall. So they're in the driver's seat, and we'll talk playoffs in a second, because we're going into we have a couple weeks left, but the Bandits are now in the driver's seat, and with a 2-game lead and tiebreakers over Demon Knights. And right now the Gravediggers, although again the Gravediggers has an additional loss, the Bandits have not technically clinched the 1 seed. Depending on how many games get replayed between the other games that did not play, it looks like the Bandits are pretty close to clinching the number 1 seed, and that leaves, at this particular point, again, not sure what the playoff format is, because with teams teams dropping and such, it ends up becoming a debate on what's the most effective way to do it. So, in this guy's opinion, Bandits are at the 1 seed. Demon Knights are now looking at the 2 seed, but they face, this would be the game of the week, this upcoming week, Demon Knights and Gravediggers. Gravediggers are going to the Demon Knights, so they're going to go into that, especially with the worst record, because I know I just always have to explain the Gravediggers being an underdog, because I'm definitely going to hear from the same peanut gallery about the Gravediggers being an underdog. But the Gravediggers are 3-2. Empire State Demon Knights at 4-2, and the Demon Knights beat them in the first matchup. So the Gravediggers go into this with a whole lot of confidence, but as a 3.5 point underdog. So we shall see. 31.5 on the over/under. I think that's a fair one. Should be a relatively low scoring match, but again, that is basically to get a hold of the number 2 seed in the EFA. The one that loses that game drops to the 3. And at this particular point, Kingston and Connecticut are not touching either. So it's pure and simply about, between the Demon Knights and the Gravediggers in the semifinal matchup, who's going to have that home field advantage. Works well with the Bandits, because I think the Bandits have a harder time with the Gravediggers than they do with the Demon Knights, based on the matchups that I've seen in person. Again, that familiarity, that rivalry football between the Bandits and the Demon Knights is something, but it appears as though the coaches over there, Coach Q, Coach Fred, Sean Kelman, and those guys, Coach Black, they have the recipe to beat the Demon Knights, although it was very, very close yesterday. Looking for the comments. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, what's up, Des? Des, you like the gear? I'm ready for Hawaii, my guy. See? Indeed. Big shout out to the Nationals guys. Wide receivers coach for that. Okay, so that's how we stack up with the EFA. And again, we're not going to take too long with this thing. Let's check out Bandits and Tar Heels. So Bandits and Tar Heels That game is going to be at Facina this week. And what do the Bandits really have to play for at this particular point? Well, now they're playing for perfection, trying to sweep the slate and really build their resume going into the playoffs. And then they're back in the mind, especially since last year, once they won the EFA championship, decided to go on and build their resume even more, even having to go to North Carolina for a Dirty Bowl game in order to qualify for the national spot that they wanted. So in the back of their mind, they're thinking, hey, look, we need to play these games on the field. We don't need any forfeits. We need to build the resume as much as possible. So Bandits Tar Heels, 12.5-point spread, 46.5 on the over-under. I think that's fair. Going between 2 and 3 touchdowns. That third touchdown will probably be the wild card in this thing. And again, Demon Knights and Gravediggers already went over in that. So, yay, what up? All right, so over here on the LAL side, and how the mighty have fallen on this one, I tell you. So this is a very interesting one, and again, I definitely welcome anybody who would like to correct me on this. But in the LAL, they had no games yesterday. The game of the week and the game that everybody wants to see, but very little chatter about, including on the League of All Leagues social media page. No flyers, no nothing. Again, Coach Jules and Light will probably correct me on that. Probably had it on the Pharaohs page, but league-wide, not really much, especially with a marquee matchup. You got Pharaohs and Knowles today, the Battle of Brooklyn. I have the Seminoles as a 2.5-point favorite. Would it be more than that, considering the Pharaohs are sitting at 4-2 and the Knowles are at 5-1? It could be more than that, but I don't think this is a good matchup for the Knowles. We saw in a rain-shortened game a few weeks ago that the Pharaohs got off to a very good start, controlled the ball. Their offensive line especially was able to offset and really neutralize the Seminoles' vaunted defensive line. So one way or another, it's going to be a hell of a game out in Brooklyn. I'm sorry, I think it's at Roy Wilkins Park, which is technically Queens. So the Battle of Brooklyn taking place in Queens. Very interesting matchup. But that's what you have on the slate. Now, looking at the standings now, you have the Bears sitting at 7-1 after their victory over the Knowles. You have the Knowles at 5-1. Their only blemish came to the Bears. Again, the flipping, they were 1-1 against one another on a home and home. And then the Pharaohs are sitting at 4-2. Pharaohs lost to the Bears and then lost to East Penn. So that in itself is going to be very intriguing. However, East Penn, although big shout out to those guys beating the Pharaohs the other week, cannot pass the Pharaohs because East Penn is finished with their regular season 8-game schedule. So they finish at 3-5, so they cannot reach 4 wins to get the possible tiebreaker over the Pharaohs. They can't get there. Also, the Bears are at 7-1, and at this particular point, they are finished with their schedule, waiting for the playoffs. And this is how it ends up being. And Mother Nature really either kicked us in the nuts on this thing, something awful, because you have this week Pharaohs and Knowles, and on next week's schedule, the Bears and East Penn both have another bye because it's makeup weekend, and the makeup weekend is Pharaohs versus Seminoles, round 2. Now, with the Pharaohs and Seminoles round 2, so now we get these 2 games working themselves out, so everybody gets to 8 games. Let's say the Knowles sweep. If the Knowles sweep that, then they enter possible tie-breaking scenario with the Bears. And I believe on the account of the score differential, the Knowles actually may have the tiebreaker on that one because their margin of victory, actually, I'm not even sure if it's margin of victory. It probably would be points allowed. So we would have to check points allowed. Once we get that information, I'll definitely post it on what would happen if the Knowles sweep, whether they would get the 1 seed. Now, the 1 seed is pretty important because the 2 seed lines you up to play the Pharaohs. Getting back to the point, if the Knowles end up the 2 seed, if they split with the Pharaohs or get swept by the Pharaohs, then in the next game, 2 weeks from now, stop me if you heard it before, it will be Pharaohs versus Knowles. 3 weeks in a row. Yeah. So we've been begging and pleading for years to see Knowles and Pharaohs, and now we get them 3 weeks in a row, possibly. More than likely. In the comments, let me know, do you think that the Knowles will sweep the Pharaohs, or the Pharaohs will sweep the Knowles? Or do you think that it will be a split on this? Pretty interesting. Hey, what's up, Mike? Pretty interesting way that this goes out. But, yeah, 3 times in a row is a little bit crazy. A lot of it crazy. So maybe they should just play a doubleheader today and call it a day. Because then you have the Bears and East Penn sitting for a while. So, and then meanwhile, when we talk about why we're at this particular junction, big shout out to Will and the Jersey Sharks. Jersey Sharks beat the Jersey Eagles in MLF fall action 52-6. And meanwhile, after winning 52-6 this week, last week they received a forfeit win because the team traveling from Maryland traveled with 7 players, and you can't hardly play a basketball game with 7 players, let alone a football game, so they collected a forfeit. That would have been ugly if they even had played it. And then in week 1, the Jersey Sharks won 62-0. So after an 0-3 start in the LAL, they switched leagues and now are putting this type of performance together. Yeah, that's different. That's definitely different. So we shall see. And that's how it stacks up. So I'll check the comments, see if anybody wants to come on and bring their expertise into this thing. But yeah, it's been pretty quiet. I get it. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. What up, Tucheski? Yeah. So, again, that's what we got. Knowles and Pharaohs, possible. Well, Knowles and Pharaohs back-to-back. Knowles and Pharaohs possibly, thank you, possibly 3 weeks in a row. And then the Jersey Sharks dog walking the MLF. And in the EFA, you got 2 teams that are in desperate need of a win, and 3 teams that are pretty closely competitive. And that's pretty much it. So that's all I got. Definitely try to get you a pregame show, or probably get Drewski up to do a recap of that Pharaohs Knowles game, and then kind of take it from there. Definitely want to do a pregame show. Couldn't get around to it this week. Had a doubleheader baseball game plus a softball game, and then about to go to soccer today for the kids. Big shout out to all the dads out there doing dad type things. Big shout out to all the coaches out there coaching youth football, high school football, directing these young people on the fields of play and, you know, teaching them the game and such. So for another episode of Way Too Early with Pat, I'll see you. Aloha.